From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. Coming up on today's show is fan negativity poisoning the program. Are the mics a package firing if things go afoul? Why has the offensive line long struggled? Recapping FSU Duke. It's a real strong mailbag. Tell a friend. Wake Up Warchant is presented by Cummins. CumminsLifestyle. Follow it on Instagram. It is the mailbag show. Let's give somebody the opportunity to win the ultimate tailgate experience. Hotel for the weekend, Hotel Indigo, and then we host. By we, I mean the awesome folks over at Cummins, setting it all up for you. A tailgate for 20 folks, bartender, drinks, ones that'll get you a little bit buzzed, the ones that'll just refresh you, table, chairs. They're going to set up, they're going to break it down. You just got to be a member of warchant.com, post an awesome question. We'll talk about it at the end of the show and see who actually ends up winning for this week. We're always winning when we're in the presence of Corey Clark. That's why you're all here. Corey's in the house. It's all video today. What's up, Corey Clark? How are you, man? I like the Bravos sweater. Good stuff, man.
I'm trying to represent. It's baseball season, Aslan, or it's getting there anyway. So, yeah. Hey, shout out to the Americans for advancing in the World Baseball Classic.
Okay, good.
Even though the head coach, the manager didn't know the rules of the tournament, that's fine. You made it to the next round. Now go ahead and win the whole thing. Good for them. But, yeah, it's baseball season, buddy, so I'm representing.
Did you see the video from a link that I cut out? Well, actually, no, because it was on my Twitter.
I did see it, yeah, okay. About him answering your candy question.
He's just the best guy ever, man.
You like him.
Speaking of baseball, I just want them to hurry up and win a World Series so he can run for president in 2028. That's what I want. That's my dream.
All right. He would be. That'd be interesting. He'd have everything analyzed. That's for sure.
He would.
But
I think you could
I
drop
don't
him
know
in.
if his cabinet can hit velocity. It would appear they don't hit velocity, so he's got to work on that.
Like most people took it for what it was, like the silly kind of question. And then somebody, I think, replied, maybe you guys should have asked him how fast the pitching machines go in the cages and whether or not they've maxed them out and why not. And I'm like,
yeah, that's next time. Did you tell people what you asked them? I don't think you did.
So he did a Zoom at the gate at Tallahassee Airport, perhaps Bobby Bowden Airport. And he was at the gate away from his team, and he did a Zoom. He does a weekly Zoom when they're doing road trips on Thursday. So, he's at the airport. And I wonder, because Link is so dialed in, so business, but I think he does have personality. It's just a little bit different. I feel like when it comes to talking to coaches, it's always just like, hey, listen, you're at an airport right now. So I got to ask you, like, what do you snack on when you're on a flight? Like, are you a pretzel guy, sun chips, Cheez-Its, ginger ale? And then he just goes absolutely granular and is like, I like pretzels. It's a healthy option, but I like Biscoff cookies. But the guilt overrides me, I think is what he said. But if I don't, I use it as a dessert. Talks about he drinks cranberry on the rocks, gets a little bit of a bite. It's incredible because he's just good-natured about it. It's a silly question. He's going to play, I don't know, a top 15 team, top 10 team in Wake Forest. But if I ask another coach, head coach at Florida State, a question like that, it would absolutely get shredded to pieces. Like, what kind of question is that? And I get it. It's a silly nonsense question. It was on the way out. He's doing a Zoom in an airport. I thought it'd be funny. And I thought, it ended up being fun.
Hey, you're protesting too much, buddy. I thought it was a fine question. We like for these guys to have a little bit of personality occasionally.
Let's get to this before we get to the mailbag. Our guy Grumpy BK has spoken up and says, hey, I'm still here. I'm listening most times. The last month or two has been a tough stretch with little to talk about, but I'm ready to hear more about spring ball. As for my frustration with Corey, it is mostly because of how much he flip-flopped about whether we should keep or fire Norvell every week last year and his rationalization of below average outcomes. But I'll give him credit. He impressed me with his recollection of Apple and John Scully history.
That's what I do, man. That's what I do. I don't know anything about what I'm supposed to talk about. But hey, every now and again, because I've seen a movie, it'll resonate with me, some pop culture reference. And by the way, Jeff Daniels was incredible in that role. I don't know if he was nominated. I know Fassbender was for playing Steve Jobs. and I think Kate Winslet was in that movie, maybe, and she was nominated. But I hope Jeff Daniels was nominated because that was a really good. He was really good in that too. And I think it's just called Jobs, right? Do you know what movie I'm talking about?
Yeah, but there was one where Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, maybe that one was called
too.
Jobs. I don't remember what this one was called, but this one was the better one. It had Fassbender. It had Seth Rogen.
It's called Steve Jobs. The one with Fassbender.
How could I get those two confused?
Let's see what the Kutcher one was. Jobs.
Yeah,
That's
come on. Why not call the other one Steve? It should have called that one the one with Fassbender Steve. But yeah, very good movie, people. Go watch it. I don't know. I think most of it's based in reality, and it's an Aaron Sorkin script based on a very good book. But yeah, go watch it. It's a good movie. It's very entertaining.
Anyways, now to Fertitta. You call him Frittata. Rude. Come on. Hearing him speak irked me. He sounded like a mini Mike. Rambled on, same speaking mannerisms, wasn't very clear, etc. So basically, Mike just needs more guys around him to do his job for him, ? Mike and the actual coaches are the football strategy guys. This guy is just going to do a little of this, a little of that, wherever the wind blows. It's just another small data point of lack of clarity in and around our football program. It's the title for me, Corey. I'll let you go here. For me, it's the title. I don't know how much you're going to open yourself to ridicule, but like when you create this title for somebody that we don't have a lot of experience at other successful programs having, and it doesn't work out, that's another data point that's just like a lack of self-awareness and not trying to insulate you and your program as best as possible. I'm fine with Gabe Fertitta, whatever he said his job title and rather his role was. I'm cool with that. The title to me is just bizarre. Be an analyst. Everybody else is an analyst. Why do you need to have a fancy quote unquote title?
Yeah, man, I just think that's dang it. Ohio State really let me down. This is ridiculous. I was trying to see what their titles were and how many staff people they have on. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me see if I can find some. We have football program assistant, football QC offense, executive director for football relations, and football program assistant. Like they have 30 people in their support staff. That's not surprising, right? It's Ohio State. I think Florida State probably has as many. They just give them unique titles. They don't just call them assistant for the offense or program assistant. They give them director of strategy. Now, you're right. I think the title is bizarre, but who cares? I don't think just because he has a title like that, there's people wonder what the hierarchy is within the staff. I don't think Tim Harris now wonder, and maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not in there. So this might be a perfectly good critique, but I don't think Tim Harris thinks he has to answer to Gabe Fertitta. And I don't think he's director of strategy, so that swings to defense too. I know Tony White doesn't think he has to answer to Gabe Fertitta. So it's just it's a program assistant. It's a guy on the staff is what it is with a funny name, with a funny title. But I don't think adding Gabe Fertitta, honestly, is going to impact this team in the negative at all. But I also don't think it's like some game changer that's going to turn you from a 6-win team into a 9-win team. It's just another set of eyes from a guy he trusts.
Yeah. Let's see here. Like you said, linebackers coach, lots of layers.
And those are all actual coaches. Yeah.
Assistant O-line coach, assistant linebackers coach, football program assistant, wide receiver focus, program assistant. Yeah. Linebackers. And that almost goes back to the Chris Thompson chief of staff or whatever, like chief coach. I don't know. Spending too much time on this nonetheless. So let's go to the mailbag then, Corey.
I think Grumpy's actual critique of how he answered what his job was is absolutely on point. That was I agree. Like he didn't illuminate, to use that word for 3 straight shows, what his role really was. He didn't explain it very well.
I thought he did. No, he's kind of Mike's reinforcement. Mike can't be in all these meeting rooms. I guess maybe he could, but he's in the meeting rooms trying to make sure that they're staying on message. They're focusing on the keys that Mike wants because Gabe knows what Mike wants to get done offensively. And then he's there to help reinforce it during practice. So I guess maybe the coaches can focus more on some of their things. It's another set of hands. I get it, man. Maybe with that title, you expected something more comprehensive. But yeah, I mean, he's
I would like something more specific. I don't like a guy that has such a broad job explanation.
Oh.
I mean, you're like I said yesterday, he is, in my opinion, he is not in the top 10 of most important people on that team. Probably not the top 20. Might not even be one of the top 20. Probably not one of the top 20 highest paid people in the football program if you include players. So let's realize what he is and go from there.
We get practice later today on Friday, everybody. So
I'm gonna move my computer a little bit.
All right, we get 5 periods to watch them and observe them. Maybe we'll observe and see what Gabe Fertitta's doing. After
probably running the whole show. Probably
week.
had a bullhorn running the whole thing.
Let's start off with Jimbo 11.
I realized we just started off with Grumpy BK.
Well, that was just a reply to yesterday's show.
Yeah.
It wasn't an actual submission. So that could have been generating discussion sparked by Cummins, but he didn't put in the right thread. There's rules.
Sorry,
rules,
Grump.
Corey.
Sorry, Grump.
Jimbo 11. I realize Norvell deserved to be fired, but he was not. He's still our coach. Do you think the continued negativity on Warchant and around our program are counterproductive to our football program moving forward?
The Warchant boards? No. I think no, I don't. I think that interest is never counterproductive, ever. You don't just fall in line and whistle along and say this is going perfectly. You allow people to voice their frustrations, because when they stop voicing their frustrations, it means they've stopped caring. And that is counterproductive. The care, even if sometimes it's over the top in the wrong direction and it is cruel or rude or however you want to phrase it, or way too negative. And we all are guilty of that, I'm sure, at times. At the end of the day, it's still interest, and it's still people. You want people to care enough to be negative. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, yeah, you want people to care enough to be negative about their team. I know that sounds goofy, but it's the truth. If people are like, well, if they're not good this year, it's okay. It's like, no, man, this is a lot of people live and die with this football program. And most of them, they've lived for a long period of their lives because it's been really good. So to see it like this, they're allowed to be upset. They're allowed to be negative. And
how does that help, though, Corey? Does it just create or just keep relevancy? It keeps people engaged, and that's better than apathy and being disconnected?
Negativity is better than apathy. I think most people would agree with that, because it does mean you care. Apathy is the absolute death knell. And at least if you're negative, you care. Obviously, you'd rather be positive. And I don't think like going on the message board and pointing out in March what Mike Norvell's record is without Jordan Travis, it doesn't accomplish anything. We all know it. But I don't think it's like, I don't think it's counterproductive in the sense that other fans will be like, you know what? Yeah, why do I care about this team? I'm done. That was a great post. I don't think that kind of stuff happens.
At the risk of going political, because that's the other podcast I do, I do think it's like, you think about something geopolitically going on and, people might not agree with it. Some people agree with it. And then it's like, well, the decision has been made. This is a decision. It's final. Fall in line, because that's what you're supposed to do as, like a citizen of a nation. I feel it's like the same thing with fan bases and the tribalism of it all. I just feel like, I don't know if our politics made our sports more partisan or if our sports made our politics more partisan, but I don't know if Jimbo 11 is the same way, but it feels kind of one of those things where it's like, if you're a Florida State fan, you need to shut up and support this guy and pull your weight and focus on the positive. And I get like, we're all rooting for him because as you've said many times on the show, Corey, like the best path for Florida State is that if Mike Norvell gets this thing figured out, but there is overwhelming data that he's not going to get it figured out. So to make everybody kind of have to pretend that this stuff doesn't exist or is not kind of on the more likely spectrum of happening, it not working out with him. It just, I get it. Like it bothers you, it upsets you as a fan to hear other people being negative, but it's like, it's one thing if Gator fans and Miami fans are talking about like that, to me, really, like that's what kind of hurts and is like the dagger. But when other fans, it's like, all right, man, like this is our family. We can criticize mom's cooking within these 4 walls. That's fine. Somebody else makes fun of our mom, then it's a problem. So I don't get bothered by the people on Warchant that are not feeling the best about the trajectory right now of things.
Yeah, I don't either. Again, it's just part of fandom, like you said. And also the vocal people are usually the most negative people. That's how that works typically. The people that are going to go on a message board and post something negative, there aren't a lot of people that post positive things. And there is a I don't know, man.
Not when there's something to be positive about. Like 2022 and 2023, our boards were very happy. Everyone was excited. The show was.
Yeah, but there's also a human trait, and I remember it most from the Leonard Hamilton era. 2015, 2016, anybody that talked about Leonard Hamilton, and there were a lot of them, talked about how he was in over his head. The time had come. He needs to go. He needs to retire. This is ridiculous. He can't get it done. And then he goes and has the best 4-year run in Florida State history. And a lot of those people disappeared. It's like they don't celebrate the wins. They only want to come in and say, I told you so, when they lose. No. That's a weird human character trait. And I feel like I have a part of that in me too. I'm not as over the top as some other people, but when a brave pitcher or a brave hitter doesn't do well, hey, shout out, by the way, I'm like, yeah, it's a dumb mistake. This was all dumb. I feel the need to sometimes say I told you so, but I also celebrate the wins, and I appreciate wins. And it does seem like, because of the way message boards are and because of the way social media is, it does feel like people, they embrace the negative more, and they would rather swim in the negative. And then when something positive happens, it's crickets. That's weird, right? So I can understand that viewpoint.
All right, moving along then. Next question, our guy Mark down in Naples. I put out there, I was wondering, just kind of trying to take the pulse of the nation, if you will, Corey. If there's anything that can happen over the next 4 weeks of spring football or the next 4 months that's going to change, again, people's mindset currently and today. He says, wake up. My answer, Mark, is that if Norvell opens up the final spring practice of the media, the next morning on Wake Up, Aslan and Corey say the following, quote, Daryl Desir, Kevin Wynn, Daniel Lyons, they're wreaking havoc like Verse and Fisk. Deuce is even more dominant now at receiver. Ashton Daniels is commanding the offense like Jordan Travis did. Otherwise, we kind of just need to wait for week 0 against New Mexico State and see how it works. I think Central Arkansas is week 3. Right? Correct. Is it? Yeah. And then Alabama's week 2?
Yep.
Aslan, I'm just answering your question.
SMU is week 2.
Oh, you're right. I apologize. Aslan, I'm just answering the questions in your intro now, which are good ones. Having a hard time coming up with creative questions about the football team these days. I'll say that for the people that have to write about this thing.
Ask for some golf questions then, Mark. FSU golf's the good bright days ahead.
Could you envision that, Corey? Could you imagine in 4 weeks seeing like the last viewing window we have? Let's say they just end up for whatever reason doing like 3 periods of 11 on 11, and you see, just explosiveness, big placement. Is that anything that in your head could happen? Would it change the way you think? Would that bring you closer to the maybe this thing is turning around camp?
No, no, and I'm not saying I wouldn't care and I wouldn't be encouraged by it, but look, man, I don't even know if when the season starts, because of what just happened to us, and I say us because it did happen to us. We watched a team beat a playoff. We watched Florida State kind of dominate a playoff team.
They did.
And then go and put 140 points up the next 2 games. And we're like, oh my, we might be covering a playoff team. We might be covering the best team in the country. And then they went 2-7 the rest of the way. So I won't even believe anything I see in September if it's good. I will be waiting. Look, I'll know Deuce is good. And if the Desirs look, I'm like, okay, well, that's going to be there all season. But for the most part, the way they play, this guy doesn't have the benefit of the doubt, and I shouldn't say just this guy, this staff, this program, don't have the benefit of the doubt to think, okay, that looked great. That's going to be the way it looks in October and November, because that's not how it works here. If it looks okay in August and September, that means nothing come October and November. And so with that said, whatever happens in March won't lead me to believe anything one way or the other. Even if Ashton Daniels looks great, I'll still be pulling for my boy K-Spare. That's not true. Ashton Daniels, I keep forgetting. Ashton Daniels is a Beaufort kid. Gwinnett County, man. I'm rooting for him.
Went to Stanford. Bright kid.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see how it all goes. In the meantime, we should spend our free time thinking about good things, positive things, and treating ourselves. Go to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and do all of the above, if you will. Follow them on their Instagram, cornerpocket_Tallahassee. By the way, did not know that Corey Clark had an Instagram. Corey Clark's got an IG. There it is, everybody.
Oh, man. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm not like Corey Clark Warchant. That's just for friends.
Is it not private?
It's not private. I never post. I'm hardly ever on Instagram. So that's why I don't. It doesn't really matter if you friend me and is that what they call it on Instagram, or is it something
Follow.
else?
I think you should follow them.
But you can't just follow me. I think you have to request to follow.
Yeah, if it's private, that
Oh,
is.
so
But if it's
maybe it
not
is private because I do get a lot of follow requests.
Let's
so
see.
maybe I have it set to private.
Let's go to Corey Clark. Oh, well, we're following you. So I guess you get now I'm just emptying out your entire memory, your photo album. Let's get away from that. Let's just talk about Corner Pocket.
Now you're going to make people that are just listening to this think that you saw some really crazy stuff on my Instagram.
I don't want to encroach on Corey's family
go
photos.
back to that real quick. Click on my pictures again real quick.
Okay.
Look at that picture on the right. I mean, just look at my face. That was 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gotten a little better, right?
Think so.
Yeah, there you go.
So.
It's 35 pounds ago is I guess the point there.
This was a better commercial for watching our YouTube version of the show other than the podcast, but we love the podcast audience. Keep doing what you're doing if you want to listen to it on the podcast. But listen to the podcast on the way into the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway. Friday, happy hour, 4 to 7 p.m., just like it is every single weekday at the CP. Take advantage of it. CPTallybar.com, the website, if you want to check the menu out beforehand. I don't think Matt Lacer is going to be there on Friday either because he was in Charlotte for the game.
I think he's going to the Players as soon as they lose.
Oh, man.
I should say as soon as they lose, as soon as they win it all, as soon as they wrap it up, he's going to go to the Players for the Sunday round.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway. We're back. It is Wake Up Warchant is presented by CumminsLifestyle. It is the Renegade Express mailbag. We'll see who's going to generate the most discussion when all the dust settles. We go to random_John. Good morning, guys. Nothing that happens over the next 4 weeks is really going to change my expectations. Spring optimism is fun, but I've got 2 seasons of games informing how I feel about this team. 4 weeks of practice reports can't outweigh 2 years of on-field evidence. So here's my question about something that rarely gets addressed directly by FSU. Our offensive line has been a problem for most of the last decade. Last year was really the first time the group even looked average. So why has the one position group that should be the foundation of an offensive system remained such a long-term weakness at FSU? Is it recruiting, evaluation, development, portal strategy, or something else inside the program? Because by year 7, you'd think an offensive staff would have solved the offensive line or at the bare minimum lucked into a few great offensive line recruits. Man, we could probably do a whole pod on that one, right, Corey?
Yeah, I would say that I think the 2022 offensive line was good. Not that your point remains. It's been abysmal for a decade. 2025 and 2022 are the 2 best of that decade. 2023 was average, maybe, and then obviously 2024 was a debacle. Yeah, man, to answer, is it recruiting, evaluation, development, portal strategy? The answer to that is yes. They're bad on all fronts, and they have been. It's hard, though, to hold the failures of go down Greg Fry, Rick Trickett,
Randy Clements,
Alex Atkins. It's hard to hold their failures against Herb Hand. Herb Hand has one data point, and it was one season where they were pretty good, where he had to get a whole collection of guys. None of those guys on the staff, none of the guys in the locker room were his recruits from high school. He had to glom together 5 guys from 5 different schools and put together an offensive line. And those guys weren't like the superstars of their schools where they came from. They were starters, but they weren't the superstars, and he's having to do it again. As we judge Herb Hand moving forward, I just don't know how it's just it can't be a program failure, right?
Yeah, we're not cursed, right? Yeah,
but I mean, there's 2 in Jimbo's last offensive lines with Trickett were bad, so it's not like. And when you think, and I've made this point a bunch, but when you think about Jimbo's great offensive line, which was the 13 season, the center was a former tight end. One of the guards was a recruit. The left tackle was a recruited defensive tackle that they switched after 1 year. So it wasn't like those guys were streamlined for success because they were all 5-star super duper recruits. I think Trey Jackson was a Georgia Tech commit. They got to flip on signing day. Not saying and Bobby Hart was 17 when they signed, or when he signed. When I think his freshman year, he was 17. I'm not saying they lucked into those guys. They did evaluate and they developed. They ended up being good, but even that wasn't normal. That wasn't like what Ohio State does. They just go sign 6 really good offensive linemen from the high school ranks, and 3 years later they're all starting. That doesn't happen here. I don't know why, because it's a bunch. All the names change. Different head coach, different offensive line coaches, different offensive coordinators, and the problem remains. All that being said, it's kind of like what we were talking about. It's in the past. Like, I'm not saying get in line and believe in Herb Hand, but there's nothing we've seen from Herb Hand to make us not believe in him. Right? He did a good job last year. He did a good job last year. And I don't think he's lucky. I don't think he has the jobs he's had and lasts as long as he's lasted being bad as an offensive line coach. So I think you might have a good offensive line coach. Let's see what this line looks like and how many of them are homegrown guys and what he can do with these portal guys. But, yeah, it's clearly, other than quarterback, it has been the biggest problem of Florida State football for the last decade.
I don't know how established the Florida offensive line coaches have been since whatever McElwain was there. But like that's the thing.
Florida sucked too, though.
But Florida had a good offensive line.
Right,
I know,
but their
like,
team has sucked for 15 years, essentially.
Yes, their team has. Well, like their offensive line's been pretty good. What I want to get to is the fact that like they've, for the most part, I think, have recruited high school players in the state of Florida. So I feel like there's maybe a deficit of elite offensive linemen in the state of Florida versus other states. So you get less of a population to pick out from that position group. And then a guy like Mario now being in Miami, I think Andy Staples said something like if he had a kid that played football, like he'd want to be an offensive lineman and go play for Mirabel and Mario down in Miami. So
yeah, you can't argue with that, right? And I would also say, like, if you're a hot shot high school offensive lineman, and this is what Herb Hand is fighting, and Mike Norvell is fighting. If you're a big time offensive lineman that is being recruited by Florida State, Ohio State, Miami, and Georgia, where are you going to go, man? Ask yourself, as a parent, where would you want your kid to go if you wanted him to get to the NFL and win a lot of football games? But most importantly, get good coaching and go to the NFL. You wouldn't send him here if those are the other 4 you're recruiting against.
Well, what about
your track record has been abysmal, putting guys in the pros for well over a decade now.
Well, what if Georgia has a first-year offensive line coach? Like he was good at Purdue, but now he's at Georgia versus Herb Hand. Like back to your point, like I think Herb Hand opens up some more doors, not just in terms of again like his networking and his eye, but like his evaluation, but the way he develops and his track record, I think can get you in some more of those conversations. Because I'm like Greg Fry, I know he was at Michigan with Harbaugh, but like everything that was good at Michigan, which wasn't really all that great.
Right.
In those first few years of Harbaugh, a little bit up and down, was not because of Greg Fry. Randy Clements was just like the Bryles family was like, this is our scheme. Just, figure it out. Help us keep, everything was the way they ran their tempo, their formations, not so much their offensive line was like this incredible, talented unit. And Randy Clements had this eye for evaluation. So I think, the unfortunate thing is I don't know how long we keep Herb Hand. But he did say he loved it. It's one of the best jobs. So even if maybe things don't work out with the head coach and they move on from him in a year or two, the next guy that comes in here would probably be silly to not ask Herb to stick around. So I feel good about what he can be. I know I said they're a talented offensive line. I probably would walk that back a little bit, but I think he'll get the best out of Nate Pabst than anybody else that's been at Florida State the last 10 years that coached offensive line. So
I agree with that. I would say out of the 5, and I would throw Trickett in this because where'd Trickett go after Florida State? It's not like people were beating down his door. He was
Glenville
a good offensive line.
He went back to his alma mater, like an NAIA school.
Right, and he did. Jimbo didn't take him with him.
Correct.
So I would say Jimbo would have taken Herb Hand probably back in 17. But yeah, when you think about where Herb Hand has been, you would make the argument, and you're not wrong at all to say that he is the best offensive line coach they've had in 20 years here.
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, Jimmy Higgins produced a lot of offensive linemen back in the day, but, he clearly Bowden didn't think he was the answer because he was the first guy he fired. Maybe the only assistant he fired during the last 25 years he coached at Florida State. But Jimmy Higgins had a lot of really good linemen when he was here. But, yeah, man, you could make the argument that Herb Hand is the best offensive line coach they've had in a long time. You could also counter by saying, well, that's like being able to jump over a phone book. Like that's not anything special to be the best offensive line coach Florida State's had in the last 25 years. But I do think he is, and we'll see what it means. If it actually means guys from the high school ranks actually play for this program, that would be something.
Next question, Big Steve-O, 22. Good morning, gentlemen. Hope all is well with you and your families. How's Brady doing, Corey?
He's doing all right, hanging in there. The team got a big win Wednesday night. Big region wins, Aslan, up here. Big region wins. And up here, I don't know if people understand that it's cool what they do in Georgia. You play a region team, you play them on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of the same week.
Nice.
So it's a series, but they're high school kids, so they're not one game after another, but it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's like a real series where you see all the pitchers, and it's cool. So it's fun. So, yeah, they've been doing pretty well in region. We'll see how that goes.
Was it a road game, home game? How does it work? Is it
you do road, home, road, or home, road, home.
Okay.
How about this though? By the way, real quick. So they have a 4-0 lead at the end of 4 innings the other night against a region team, and then the rains come. It's 4 innings. Now they waited all day to play it. They could have played. It was a Saturday. They could have played it like at 1, but they waited till 4. Rains came. They played it at 6. It lasted an hour and 20 minutes. Then they called it after 4 innings. Number one. If it's a 7-inning game, shouldn't 4 innings be an official game? Like that's more than half the game. An MLB game is 9 innings, and if it goes 5, it's official. Seems like 7, it would be 4. But no, so Brady's team had a 4-0 lead, and then they called it. Said, nope, got to replay the whole game. So they replayed the whole game on Tuesday. Brady has an RBI double. Good game going on. They're up. I think they're up 4-1, and Brady just walked to load the bases with nobody out. Again in the 4th inning, and they call the game again because the rain comes. Same team, same principle. Now they have to replay the entire game again. They've outscored this team 8-1 in like 7 innings. None of it counted. They have to replay the game on Saturday morning. But hey, still fun. It's still fun. It's still fun to watch. He gets his 1 varsity year. It's been fun to watch. Sorry.
Unbelievable.
I know.
We all know that football is king in college sports.
I will be writing a strongly worded letter to the region commissioner or the GHSA, whoever I have to write to. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
We all know that football is king in college sports and is the foundation that has created most powerhouse athletic programs today. I believe this to be true about Florida State. My question to you is, in your opinion, what is the real reason behind Florida State becoming the brand and prominent athletics program it is today? The easy answer is Bobby Bowden and how he transformed the football program, which places FSU on the map. But do you believe his success in creating a football powerhouse led to FSU creating a successful baseball, softball, soccer program? Commas in between all those, not a single sport. Here's hoping to not be the runner-up 2 weeks in a row in generating discussion. Regardless, you guys are the best in the business. I appreciate the platform you all provide for FSU fans to have such discussions. As always, go Noles.
Who's that, Big Steve?
Big Steve 22.
Well done, Big Steve. I think it's hard to quantify when your football program becomes the best one in the country, like Florida State was for 15 years. Florida State baseball was already good. Mike Martin had been there for 7 or 8 years when the dynasty started. They had been to the College World Series championship game in '86. That was before the dynasty started. So I don't know that Bowden's impact on football is the reason that Brian Pinsky won a soccer national championship last year. I don't know if there's a huge correlation there, but I'm not dismissing it as 0% either. I just think Florida State became a brand name in the 80s and 90s when the football program was doing what it did, and the sport was rising, and college athletics in general was rising. And it also didn't hurt that at that same time you had a Heisman-winning quarterback who also was the point guard on an Elite Eight basketball team with 3 other first-round picks. Like, you had some unique stuff going on in the early 90s when ESPN was becoming more and more and more popular, where I think that set the stage for what Florida State athletics became. Bowden, yes, is the most important, but I don't know that you could put a percentage or quantify in numbers easily what impact he had on the development of the baseball program. I think is the best one because basketball has been up and down, and soccer wasn't really a thing until 20 years ago at Florida State. So I don't know.
confluence of a lot of things, right? Like Florida's population boom, Florida becomes a bigger state, more known, and then he's
for the rise of the football program.
Yeah, because he's the he's the kind of he's the face of that, and then the university develops this reputation as being a party school, which I guess now is kind of for what's the
frowned upon.
Yeah, but like what's the German word for like forbidden?
Verboten
or something. Yeah. Like
why
those
didn't
are the
you
things.
just go with forbidden? You like verboten better?
Yeah,
I think it just sounds It sounds like forbidden.
Yeah. But as like a kid growing up in the state of Florida, to like see that, and like, Florida State has this reputation as like a party school, and like all these beautiful people here. It's like, man, that's a really cool thing. So I mean, that generates interest just to want to attend school here. But I imagine it makes other sports. If you're an athlete, I'd like to play sports there too. Like they've got this passionate football fan base. I'd love to come play softball there. And also, like, this sounds weird too. I think it's like the uniforms, the name, like FSU, the Noles, the Seminoles, that helmet, those gold pants, the garnet jersey. Like when you saw that on TV in a night game, it was like, man, like these guys look, and this, the energy they played with. I mean, I think that really did create this whole kind of aura around the program that I think, fed into all other aspects of the way people looked at the university. So
yeah, the color scheme is awesome. It's the best one in the country, in my opinion, and I'm not wrong. But yeah, so the program really took off. Mickey Andrews is hired as the DC in 1984. Florida goes on probation in 1984. 84. I think they were like number one in the country in 84, 85, but couldn't go to a bowl. And that's how they used to do it back then, kids. Now they just strip away wins from 5 years ago. So when Florida went on probation, Miami had won a national title in 83. Florida goes on probation. So Florida State starts becoming a better recruiter because they had recruiting. They couldn't recruit as much as they had before. Florida couldn't. There were, they put prohibitions. That's not what the word I'm looking for.
Probation.
But no, like they put limits on how many guys they could recruit.
Sanctions.
There you go. Perfect. We're killing it. What an episode. And Deion. So Deion comes in 85. Deion becomes one of the biggest stars in the college football world in 1987. You have Bobby Bowden running trick plays all over the world, throwing the ball, which in the mid-'80s was still kind of, foreign to a lot of programs. The color concept, Osceola and Renegade, the fact that it got really good, the program got really good, all of that was the confluence of events. With Deion now, Deion begets Terrell Buckley, who then begets Corey Sawyer, and on you go. But Florida State became a really cool, fun place to go be an athlete. And that all started, mid-'80s.
Saw this tweet from Matt Brown, who's been covering college sports for a minute. It's got his own Substack or newsletter. Okay. He obtained the fiscal year 2025 operating budget for nearly every public school, college, baseball program. I thought this was the football program, so I should probably take this off the screen. But nonetheless. Florida State ranked 13th in baseball. So I was going to show you that
I can't read any of that. That's fine. Hey, it's a podcast. We don't need to read.
They're all in on everything. Maybe I'll just delete this whole part. Sorry.
That's fine. It's good. I
Who
know.
tweets the fiscal year budget for baseball?
Man, he's a guy that likes the sport. I do think going back to Jimbo's question at the beginning, Jimbo Levin's question about the negativity. The one thing that I pushed back on constantly, because we talk about it a lot, and I've told Jeff this to his face. I've told it during our show on Seminole Headlines. The we're so poor narrative really bothers me because man, you don't have a lot of money compared to Texas or Ohio State. You are not too poor to compete in the ACC. So quit with that. You do spend a lot of money, and I feel like when you tell a lot of fans who are giving a lot of money that the Florida State just doesn't have the money, they're poor. Well, it's like, well, then what am I doing this for? Why am I going to give money if you're going to keep telling me how poor our university is? It might be poor by comparison to the 5 top spending teams in the country, but Florida State still spends more than 90% of the country when it comes to athletics.
I think they were second on that chart behind Clemson only in baseball spending. So
an ACC play, but I'm talking about there's 350 baseball programs.
Yeah.
They're 13th in spending. Like they care. It matters to them, and they spend money on this stuff. And I feel like it's because of the stupid story about the debt, which Ira had reported 3 months ago. That yes, they're in debt because they built a flipping football facility and had all the upgrades to Doak. They knew that. That was not a stunner. I just don't like Florida State fans feeling less than. They don't have as much money as some of these other schools. They have plenty of money to compete. They are not the Marlins trying to beat the Yankees. They are, I don't know, man, the Diamondbacks trying to beat the Yankees, or the Braves trying to beat the Yankees.
Yeah.
The Braves have plenty of money. They don't spend it all that well, and they don't spend as much as they should, but they have enough money to compete. So does Florida State. There's no excuse to be 7-17 in 2 years with the money you spend on that football program.
We're going to pick up the discussion right here with Noel for Life, class of 2007. Wake up, fellas. Aslan, congrats on your upcoming nuptials. Corey, congrats on keeping Brady alive.
We're doing what we can, man. We are doing what we can.
There is a thread on the tribal council in which Florida State quarterback of yesteryear, Danny Cannell, is shown in a video saying that Michael Alford's fate is tied to that of Mike Norvell. Alford did not hire Norvell and save for the extension he gave to Norvell post the 2023 season, which was roundly supported at the time. Norvell is not Alford's guy. Alford has a good track record for hiring and retaining coaches thus far. So my question is, should Norvell fail and be dismissed? Should Alford go with Norvell, or should he be given the chance to make the next head football coaching hire? I think this somewhat dovetails into your point about Jeff, because I know, and listen, Jeff has proven to be right on this now, but the sort of narrative out there that Michael Alford was like, we're gonna follow the quote unquote rules, the House settlement, we're gonna stay within our budget, and people thought that was a really naive sort of approach, which, you know, in hindsight, I guess it was. But if you're hearing from other people in your industry that there's going to be real rules, real enforcement, real punishment, and you don't necessarily have the means to compete at that high of a level in terms of spending, like, why would you not be a little bit cautious about it? And then to your point, Corey, even though you might not be redlining it and spending as much as LSU, you still are spending more than almost everybody in the ACC. So it's not as though he completely kneecapped this program from having a competitive roster. I think we all agree that should have probably been an 8-9 win roster they had last season. So all that to say, especially if Luke Laux keeps winning games and looks, you know, if this team can keep building and this program can build the way it has been, if Link can get them back into Omaha, like on a, you know, once every 3 year kind of basis or whatever, Penske wins another national title or two in the next 8 years, Lonnie sticks around in this program, continually competes to go to Oklahoma City. Do you really fire the guy for giving an exorbitant extension to a head coach, to the point you've made so many times, Corey, lose him to the team that knocked you out of the playoff, that had no business knocking you out of getting an invitation to the playoff? I think you keep him.
Yeah, I think, yeah, but it's funny how that's worded. Save for the extension he gave Norvell post the 2023 season. As if you just remove that, it's like the coaches that would always say, well, if you take away their 24-2 run, we're right there in the game there in the fourth quarter or in the second half.
Well, it's like if Norvell as an offensive coach, like if you eliminate 2024, he's one of the 10 best offensive play callers in the country. Like, well,
or if you eliminate how we performed in the red zone last year, we were one of the best offenses in the United States. Like those were big ifs. Look, man, unfortunately, because of how it's worked out, Alford is tied to that contract extension. I'm putting my computer up here. I'm sorry, Aslan. I know I'm shaking it right now. Sorry, everyone. But I think it'll end up being a better watch. Yeah. So I had the laptop on my actual lap the way God intended it, but it was bouncing all around, and that was probably not. It's like the Blair Witch Project for you older folks out there. Anyway, so he is tied to that contract. We all understand why he did it, but it was in hindsight, it was a horrible decision that has cost this program, 3 or 4 really down years, but because of it. Or Norvell can somehow unspiral out of this. I don't think that's true, though. I don't think if he fires Norvell, he's going with him because of the other thing. And it's not just that. He did something that, like, think about how mad people would have been at Alford. Be honest with yourselves, you liars, you hypocrites. How mad would you have been at Mike Alford if he let Norvell go after the 2023 season? And I'm talking about January 8th of 2024, not November of 2024, January 8th of 2024, you would have been irate with your athletic director for letting Mike Norvell walk. So let's be honest with ourselves and say that he did what the fans wanted him to do back then. I don't think you can just say his job has been a complete failure because of that. Because, look, man, part of his tenure has been, and I'm not here carrying Mike Alford's water. I don't care one way or the other, honestly. He's nice enough to me, but I don't know the guy. I don't care about him. He still makes he's still made a lot more money in this lifetime than I have. He'll be all right. But when you think about what they've had to do, what he's had to navigate, suing the ACC, being a part of that, renovating Doak, building the football-only facility, all that was on his watch too. Maybe Laux turns out to be a great hire, and you can look back on that and say that was a great job. Link Jarrett, we know, knows what he's doing. Brian Pinsky was an exceptional hire. He kept Lonnie. Like, the athletic department as a whole, he's done some really good things. It's just obviously football is by far the most important, and that contract extension was an albatross. But it wasn't like people were telling him, please don't do that. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. What are you thinking about? He did what people wanted him to do and kept him here for the long time. He worked that out. Even though Florida State is big old poor Florida State, they managed to give a guy a $70 million contract, and now they're paying the price for it. But anyway, so I don't agree with that take. I do think that it really doesn't matter how many national championships Brian Pinsky wins. If the football team continues to suck, Michael Alford's going to continue to be hearing negative things because of it, because that is by far the most important thing he oversees is the football program.
I had something profound I was going to say, but I forgot it.
I'm surprised you even heard any of that.
No, I did. Okay. I just switched to get my IFB, and so you wouldn't see the white cables hanging off me. This is me stalling, trying to see if I can figure out what I was going to say about Michael Alford. But yeah, it's tough. It's a tough situation all the way around. Let's see what the next question is on the mailbag. Island Chief, wake up. Laux and his team, whether or not they are still alive in the tournament when this podcast drops, have been one of the biggest midseason turnarounds I've witnessed in FSU athletics. Yeah. Another one that comes to mind is the 88 football team after the opener. The 89, I thought, or was it 88?
Well, no, 88 lost to Miami 31-0 and then ripped through the rest of the season. 89 lost the first two games and then ripped through the rest of the season.
Okay. Last season was a turnaround in the wrong direction. Impressive nonetheless.
Yeah.
If it gets turned around next season, when will we know? Would a lead at halftime in Tuscaloosa be a strong enough signal?
No. As I said, and you didn't know this because you asked it before I said what I said 20 minutes ago, but I'm not going to trust anything I see from this team until we get to November. Too many times. There's been one time in the 6 years that has it been 6 years now or 7? 6.
He's given 6 seasons of football.
In the 6 years he's been the coach, there's been one time. You could argue maybe 2021, but I think that was more of, hey, just let Jordan Travis be the quarterback, dummy. But in 2022 is the only season where they got better as the season went on. And that's a indictment. So even if they look pretty good in September, if they come out of September 4-1 with a narrow loss to Alabama or a win over Alabama and a narrow loss to SMU, whatever, I'm not going to believe anything. I'm not going to believe that the shoe isn't going to drop the following week, because it's not just what happened in 2025. It's what happened in 2020, 2021-ish, 2023, 2024, and 2025. And I know 2023, they went undefeated, but that offense, the second half of the season, looked nothing like the offense through the first half of the season. And some of it was injury. Some of it was just they don't get better. They just don't get better. And so I'm not going to believe that if they're good in September, that means they're going to be good in November, because I just lived through that 2-7 into last year nightmare.
Do you think people outside the Florida State spectrum think we're crazy for being this critical?
No.
Because I think you gave a really good explanation, because there's part of me 30 minutes ago in the show where I almost wanted to interrupt it all and just be like, how do we get to this point where we felt so good about him that one atrocious season and one underperforming season has made us completely forget about anything good that he's done? Like, I think that would be the most like an optimistic take. Like, if you're a Illinois fan, you're like, man, like, you guys were undefeated 2 years ago. and you've had 2 bad seasons, but the guy won 19 games in a row. You want to fire him? Like, you're being completely reactionary and knee jerk and a spoiled fan base. But with the way you describe it, like six seasons and 5 of them, at some point the season has gone like this. I guess makes it sound like we're not being reactionary and knee jerk.
Yeah, I was looking up something because I kind of want to make a point on this. Like, I'm going to look
I'll pull it up on screen, what you're looking at. I'll pull it up on screen so we can all look at it together.
NoleFan.org.
Okay.
If you go to the 2020, click on the 2020 results, like the results from 2020 till now.
Yep.
I want to look up the most points they've scored on the road in a game where Jordan Travis isn't their quarterback.
Ooh.
Because he's not their quarterback, and he hasn't been for 2 years now. And that's what, like, going on the road and having your offense perform well on the road. So let's see. He was not the quarterback at NC State the year they scored 22. So I bet it was the Chubba Purdy year. That's 2020. That's COVID. Jordan Travis was not the quarterback then. I think Chubba Purdy got the start.
Yep.
Maybe Rodemaker played. Yep. Now go to 2021. Now McKenzie Milton started that way. Well, you got to scoot over so I can see if it was road or home. I kind of remember. There you go. The Wake Forest game was away. So
the game's in Boulder away. No, the games are Boulder that we won.
The games with the A's next to them are away, Aslan. So the Wake Forest game, they scored 14 points. That was McKenzie Milton. So 2022, he played all of those, So we don't have to look at that. 2023, what'd they score at Florida?
24.
So that's the mark so far is 24. And though I think all 3 touchdowns were scored by Trey Benson. Keep going. 2024, what was the most points they scored in an away game? God, I wish you'd scoot that over. There we go.
I'm trying to keep it so that it's big enough that you can read it. Come on, don't be rude. Away game, SMU 16 points.
Yeah,
and
if you want to
count
Georgia Tech neutral, but yeah, let's say 16 a road game. So keep going. What about last year?
31 against, or 38.
Yeah, so they had 38. So their offense has played well. Would you say, and I think I'm being honest here, you heard everybody listening heard those games we're referencing. The memorable 2020 game at NC State during COVID. What did we say? The 2024 at SMU, the ball off Morlock's face mask. Like, the only time they've played well on the road as an offense without Jordan Travis was at Virginia last year. And I need to remind you that after that game, they scored 13 points at Stanford. They scored 10 points at Clemson. They scored 11 points at NC State. So they played exactly one good game on the road offensively during his entire tenure when Jordan Travis isn't the quarterback. So while your question is fair in the sense that he did some good things, I am of the opinion that everything he has accomplished at Florida State up until this point was because he was smart enough to finally make 13 his quarterback. And without 13 as his quarterback, he would have been fired 3 years ago, probably 4 years ago. So he's living off that, and he now finally, at once, has to somehow figure out a way to put together a competent to good offense without Jordan Travis as a quarterback and win games, because he hasn't done either since Jordan Travis left and before Jordan Travis was his quarterback.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Absolute just takedown, point by point, rational, reasoned takedown of just like, this is not going in a good direction.
Take that, Grumpy BK. I'm not on no fence. I'm not on no fence. No, and I was thinking about that. I'm sure I was maddening to so many people last fall, because this is how I feel about Mike Norvell. What I just said is how I feel about Mike Norvell. And I said it at the time after the Stanford game. I don't think he should be the coach anymore. I think he should be fired. But then when I tried to explain the administration side, it sounded like I was siding with them or agreeing with what they were doing. I was just explaining what their rationale must be, but I did it so, I don't know, vehemently, that it sounded like I was on their side. And I just want you guys to know I was not on their side, and I should have probably calmed that down a bit because, again, as Aslan said, they were really close. They were an 8-win team last year. They had 8-win talent. I mean, they just did. Every game they won was a blowout. Every game they lost was by a possession. They were very close to being an 8 or 9 win team, but they weren't. They aren't. And so, yes, the Stanford game would have been enough for me to be done with it. But I don't make those decisions. And then you start thinking about why they're doing this, and they are saving money. And it would cost a lot of money to fire him and go hire another coaching staff. And they are trying to get out of this conference. And they did build a stadium. PBR this weekend, by the way, Aslan. PBR and Doak. So hey, moneymaker. So I flung so much to the other side that it sounded like I was arguing their point as if it was my belief is what they should do. And that's what it ended up becoming, and it was dumb. So I apologize for that. I don't think Mike Norvell should be the head coach at Florida State. He is, though. And just because Mike Norvell is the head coach at Florida State does not mean this team is destined for failure. It doesn't. Indiana was destined for failure forever. Cignetti, nobody would have thought that would happen. Now, again, Mike Norvell is not Kurt Cignetti, but we don't know is the point. In the ever-evolving world of college football, we don't know from year to year, and in Mike Norvell's case, from week to week, who has a good football team and who doesn't. What's that sound?
Really? You can hear?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Has it not been picking up my microphone? Oh, it has.
Heard you. Yeah, it just sounds like somebody's...
they're mowing the lawn.
Oh.
They're mowing the lawn.
Sound like they're in the house.
They're really close.
Yeah.
Not great windows. Brand new house.
You don't make your fiance mow the lawn? Stephanie loves mowing the lawn. I'm going to take that away from her because anytime she tells somebody, one of my friends, oh, yeah, I was mowing the lawn, they're like, Corey.
What?
Yeah. I'm like, she likes to do it. I would do it, but she wants to do it.
All right, well, let's get to, before we talk about hoops, let's give away the opportunity to win the ultimate tailgate experience, courtesy of our great friends over at CumminsLifestyle. Follow it on Instagram. Cummins' own in line of portable power products, best in class. Look into it. If you need portable power, Cummins has got you covered. Man, your dissertation on Mike Norvell and his ineptitude on the road, or rather on the road without Jordan Travis, was by far, I think, the most impressive part of the pod. But unfortunately,
am I in the pool?
Well, Island Chief asked. The Island Chief's already won, so we like to spread this thing across. So I'm going to either say the discussion about Alford. I think it was Alford or the negativity question at the beginning of the program, Corey.
Make the call, buddy. It's on you. I don't know who's ever won these things before. I don't keep track like you do, so I don't know if Jimbo 11 has won.
He has
yet.
not. That's why I put them.
What about our guy that always finishes second?
It was a question. I love Big Steve-O 22. He's gonna win one of these weeks.
Keep fighting, Big Steve-O. Keep fighting the good fight, buddy. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it one of these days. Like Martin Scorsese finally got an Oscar, so it'll happen.
Man, we usually give away Jimbo 11's been around since 2002. Noel for Life class of 2007 has been around since 2022. But I'm going to give a Noel for Life class of 2007. I think the discussion about Norvell and Alford is a little bit more enticing.
The one, the Danny Cannell question?
Yeah, than talking about negativity. I liked it a lot, though, Jimbo 11. I did like it a lot. So there we go. Corey, if you could just press the button for the energy. There it is, everybody. It's been generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Again, follow Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. Get involved over at warchant.com. Ask your question. Get entered into the drawing for the ultimate tailgate giveaway. A tailgate for 20 folks. You get a hotel room the weekend of the game at Hotel Indigo, the best place to be in Tallahassee if you're staying at a hotel. The tailgate's going to be awesome, and you don't have to do a single thing other than show up and bring your friends, courtesy of the great folks over at Cummins. Again, like, who else is doing this on a podcast? People are giving away French fries. We're giving you folks a tailgate for 20 folks. Right. So who loves you? Cummins loves you. Warchant loves you. All right, let's step aside. Let's come back and talk about what happened in Charlotte between Duke and Florida State after this.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and Napa Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. We are back. It is Wake Up Warchant is presented by CumminsLifestyle. Follow on Instagram. All right, man. The season has the season come to an end, Corey? Will they play in the NIT? We'll talk about that in a second or two. Florida State outscores Duke by 1 in the first half. Top-ranked Duke outscores the Noles by 2 in the second half and wins by the slimmest of margins, 80-79. Florida State, I think where they were up like 59-51.
Yeah.
And then kind of let go of the rope, and then Duke roared back, and then LeJay Jones went nuts, and Florida State had a shot to win it, and it was Robert McCray. Were you yelling timeout? Was I the only person yelling timeout in the Northern Hemisphere when they got that block? Was it Steen who made the block, and then they got the rebound off of it? I'm like, call timeout.
I think Luke, after the game, is correct. And what's funny, I was thinking about that. Maybe the most famous shot in Florida State basketball history, Luke Laux was a part of, kicking it to Michael Snare in the corner to beat Duke. And in that one, Leonard Hamilton did not call timeout. Austin Rivers made a runner with like 4.4 left. They inbounded the ball, and Michael Snare ended up getting a pretty darn good look at a three, just like McCray did. I think Luke is right. I think if you call a timeout, the odds that you're going to get in your best player's hand with a decent look at a three to win the game, or a decent look period, is probably slim. So I don't mind the not timeout there. Plus, it was in transition, and McCray is one of the best athletes in the country. I was hoping he'd go to the rim. He didn't need a three, but he made the guy that was guarding him kind of trip a little bit and got off a good look. It was a little long, and they lost the game. But no, I was not screaming timeout. I did stand up, though. I was sitting down, and you almost think it's destiny. I mean, Boozer's going to be maybe the first or second or third pick in the draft, and my man Alex Steen is blocking his shot to get the ball going the other way. And Boozer's unreal, by the way. But that was a great fight, great game. I was legitimately worried that they were going to end up losing by 20 when Duke went on that 19-2 run, but they came right back, man. That's what they did. It was emblematic of their entire season, where they looked horrible for that 5-minute stretch, and then after that, they were the best team in the game. They were the better team for 35 minutes. Huh? It was just that 5-minute 20-2 stretch or whatever it was. That again, we joked about that, but if you take away that 20-2 run, the Noles are playing later on today. But either way, man, what a showing and what a finish to the year. And I don't know if I could be more excited about what Luke Laux could be potentially as a head basketball coach.
Quick clarification. I would have liked the timeout. I'm in no way saying that Luke erred by not calling the timeout. I totally get it. And to your point, man, like McCray's the guy you want to get the last shot off of. He got a clean look. I think he was feeling himself a little too much. It came a little hot off of his hand. You could tell by the way he stepped back when he knocked it down. He thought like he was ready to call game, but tough to see it not land for Florida State in this game. But it's just cool to see everybody on Twitter just talk about how good of a game Florida State played and how Luke Laux is like this force to be kind of reckoned with, Corey. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and jump to the future now or still think about what happened in that game,
I would say real quick, man, shout out to all the seniors. Kobe McGee, he didn't do anything in the game on Thursday night, but Wednesday night he hit 4 big threes in the first half. He had some moments this year. I think he would say overall he didn't play this season like he wanted to. But you look at what LeJay Jones did.
Damn, they only played 7 guys?
Yeah, man. And Kobe McGee got 0. So, I mean, really, it was a 6-man rotation with foul trouble. Like LeJay Jones and McCray were in foul trouble. Basong was in foul trouble. So, yeah, man, the fact that you think about what they brought in. LeJay Jones is a player. McCray clearly is a player. He was the best player on the team, and for large stretches on Thursday night, the best player on the floor. And I don't know what NBA draft scouts look for, but I wouldn't be surprised if that guy didn't play in the league. I mean, he's an athlete. He's got a nice shot. He's not a consistent one, but he could get there. But just an incredible athlete and a competitor. But LeJay, McCray, and Wiggins. Wiggins knocks down some big shots in this game and knocked big shots all year. Just a shout out to them, man, because they were mercenaries. I don't use that word lightly, but they were. They came for one final year. They had leveled up. Well, Wiggins was already at Clemson and he'd already won big in the ACC. He was coming for a more expanded role. LeJay Jones, McGee, McCray, Alex Steen, shout out to that kid. I mean, come on now. He is just not all that physically gifted, and he fights his rear end off. He got, they all got abused in the paint against Duke on the glass, but he tried really hard. Shah Muhammad didn't play in this game. So anyway, before we get to the future, just wanted to say a shout out to those guys, man, because if this thing ends up taking off, as I've said before, and Luke ends up being one of the better coaches in the country, and this program becomes a consistent tournament team, it'll be because of what these guys did the last 2 months. There is a real belief in this fan base, which is important.
Yes.
In what this head coach is. And, this is going to sound like a shot at the head football. I don't care. It is cool to believe that your head coach can coach. And you believe that with your basketball coach now, and you absolutely believe it with your baseball coach, soccer, softball. A lot of other coaches. But you believe that this head coach can coach and that he knows what he's doing. Shire is very impressed with him. Shire just coached in a national championship game, and Shire has won a national championship as a player. Like John Shire is a Luke Laux fan. He knows that the guy and that staff can coach, and that's a cool thing, man. That is just cool to know. It's cool to know that you got a guy that knows that it has a chance to be special, because the players are going to keep changing year after year. But if you got a coach that's consistently good and a coaching staff that's consistently good to great, you like what you got. But it's all going to come down to these because there was no proof of concept at all in the middle of January. Luke looked in over his head. The players looked like they'd cashed it in. It looked like there was no hope at all. And then the last 2 months happened. They finished the season going 11-4 in their last 15. All 4 losses were games they could have won and games they led or were tied with like 3 or 4 minutes to go. Man, awesome showing, man. To get down like that after that big run, to get up like they did, and to get down like that, and then come back and have a shot to win the game. And all those Duke fans and players and coach they're holding their breath at a Florida State shot in the ACC tournament. Good for them, man. That's a lot of fight for those seniors, and I hope they're proud of what they accomplished, because it was really fun to watch and it was a really cool end of the season.
Let me ask you this though. This is me like being like cautious. Like, I don't want to get hurt. Like, I don't want to feel that like we've got a guy and then he's not the guy. But how different do you think it's going to be next year when Luke is, I imagine he's still going to hit the transfer portal, right? He's not just going to go after a bunch of freshmen, but he's going to have to replace like a certain profile of player, effort, determination, those sort of things. Again, it's like you're what he was, to your point, like he's selling nothing. There's no proof of concept. So you have to really like take a leap of faith in him. Now, some people are going to have like a preconceived notion of what things are. Maybe they're not as hungry as this kind of group was. I mean, how likely is that, or is that anything that crosses your mind?
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue, because the players they're going to be getting out of the portal, they're not going to go get like the North Carolina's second best player. Yeah. And they're not going to get a guy that was that averaged 21 points a game at some mid-major, because he's going to Duke or Kentucky or Arkansas. He's going to where big. So they're going to get guys that still have a lot to prove that don't think they've arrived. And I think they've learned some lessons about maybe what to look for and what not to look for as far as their playing style. And so that's what excites me. There's not a lot of Robert McCrae's out there. And McCrae was the difference between 18 wins and 7 wins probably. But in the aggregate, you think about the seniors they brought in. They brought in 6 transfer guys. The front court that they brought in was Muhammad, Steen, and Wiggins. Together, those guys combined on Thursday night for Steen had 8 rebounds. Good job, Alex Steen. That's my dog, man. That guy fights. Chauncey Wiggins had 3. Shah Muhammad didn't play. But as we think about what this team is going to be next year, no ill will towards my man Alex Steen, no shade, but you're going to get a better player than that. I mean, he played 33 minutes tonight. That guy was a D2 player last year, and he played 33 minutes in a do or die game against number 1 Duke. And I mean number 1 in the country, Duke. And so you are not going to have to dip down to the Division IIs of the world to get a 15-9 guy from Florida Southern to come play 33 minutes for you. The Muhammad kid never played, and Wiggins was a big-time scorer at times and a good shooter, but was not a good defensive player or rebounder. That has to be what they address, and I think they will address that. And I think, again, all you have to do is go show some 6'9" dude at Miami of Ohio. Well, maybe not them. They just went 31-0. Akron. And be like, look what we did with this crew. You're better than all these guys. You're going to feast. So, but again, you got to go get the best player like in Akron. You're not going to go. Are you going to get the second leading scorer at Drexel? You're not going to go get a 25-point guy, I don't think. Maybe they'll do what they did this year and put a lot of money into one player like they did McCray. But I think they know more about what kind of style they want to play and what they play well, and maybe most importantly, what they coach well. And they will cater their portal additions by that. Because look, man, they've got 5 freshmen coming in. Here's the thing. After this season, I was thinking about this because this is what I'm going to write. I don't want to go into next season being like, okay, this is more of a but not that you rebuild from a team that didn't make the tournament, but there's going to be some growing pains, and this is going to be a gap year because you got so many young guys. No, I don't want that. Go get a team that can win the NCAA. Go get a team that can get in the NCAA tournament, because this team was that. It just started too late. You know what I mean? Yeah. But this was a tournament team. I mean, Luke's right, man. This is a top. This is a Sweet 16 caliber team, man. They are a bitch to play. They are. This was the only game in the last 2 weeks they didn't get up by 20. And if they had, they would have won. That was their mistake, Aslan. They didn't get up by 20 points. So I don't want to be like, okay, it's going to be a growing pains because you're going to have 5 freshmen playing. No, you're going to have 5 freshmen on the team. I don't know who's coming back. Again, Cam Miles didn't play a second in this game. I just can't imagine. And I have no idea, no inside knowledge. I would be stunned if he came back, just because that's not how this sport usually works when you don't play at all as a freshman. Basong, that's the guy you need to keep. Out of the guys that are returning, it's Basong, Miles, and Martin Somerville. And Swinton, yeah. Basong and Swinton are the guys you absolutely, I think, try to make a run to keep, because you know what they can give you athletically, defensively, rebounding. They could have used Swinton tonight, man. He would have lucked into a couple rebounds just with the athlete he is, and it would have given him an extra body. Anyway, and so there are 4 or 5. They got to go get 4 or 5 guys, and they will do better in the portal this year than they did last year. And when you look at what they did this year, not in the body of work as a whole, but what this team actually is and what it ended up being, it was a top 25 team. And they can go do that again in the portal. They can go they'll get a better portal class, I think, and they're more positioned now to make a real run at doing something pretty fun next season. And also, Martin, I love you. I love your attitude. I love your big personality. I love the fact that you're a fighter and you'll go and grapple and get balls and get tie-ups. You missed 2 front ends of 1-and-1s in a 1-point loss, and you're the best free throw shooter on the team. You're also only a sophomore, and you've never been in a moment like that. But as we move forward, and if he's still on this team, he's got to be the guy that puts games away at the free throw line. And that was just disappointing because it was there to be won. It was there to be won. Steen missed 2, but Steen's not a good free throw shooter. Martin Somerville's 82%. And in the midst of a 19-2 run, you need your guard to go ahead and get you those 4 points at the free throw line. Instead, he got you 0, and you lost by 1.
Real quick on the way out, because I got to get on the road and drive to Tallahassee to cover this football team practicing. We'll have video, everybody, moving images. Do you take like an NIT invite if you get one?
I don't even know how the NIT works. I would be surprised if they took one. Literally, I don't know. Like, I know all the teams that win their conference tournaments that don't get invited to or win their regular season conference, but then get knocked out in their conference tournaments and don't make the big dance, they get an automatic invite. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I in a weird way, I think it's beneath this team. Like, this team was all eggs were in that basket to beat Duke and then to beat either Carolina or Clemson and then win the ACC championship. And none of them are coming. Like, maybe 1 or 2 guys on the entire team are coming back. So I don't know what you get for it. And if you go on a run, what does that even mean? 2 extra weeks of not being in the portal. So no, I would not take an NIT invite. I think, honestly, that was a great end of their season. You would have rather won it all. That's a great end of their season to fight back like they did against the number 1 team in the country and have a shot to win the game and it's just 3 inches long.
No moral victories starting next year, everybody. But
Yeah.
great season, man. Year one, 80-79 loss to the number one team in the nation, pretty much in their backyard. So
Yeah.
Luke's got us. All right, we're done. Practice footage probably uploaded around 10 a.m. Practice interviews. I should say practice. We're not practicing interviews, but there'll be interviews after practice, 11:30ish or so. So check out around noon over on warchant.com, our YouTube channel as well. Twitter's probably going to have a lot of clips of guys warming up. They're in helmets, I think, right, Corey? It's day 3, so I think usually they'll be in helmets.
I think they're in pads. I think they're in pads today, man. I think they're in pads. So enjoy it. Get us some good footage and try to just stay there. I was thinking what I would do if I was there, but I'm not. So it's just me saying it. As soon as period 5 is over and it's time for us to leave, I would do a dead sprint out. Like just sprint away. Like, okay, sorry, coach, I'm here. I don't want to see anything. And sprint as fast as I can out the practice field.
I want to set up a secret camera, but Ira told me I can't. He'd fire me. So
he said he'd fire you if you got caught, I bet.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Come on, be sneaky now. There's a lot of nooks and crevices in there.
Yeah. All right, Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Again, football practice going on this morning. We got you covered over at warchant.com. Join us for only $1 for like 5 days, and you get a year access to The Athletic. So that'd be pretty cool. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you all so much for listening to another week. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins.